All right. We're glad you're here. We're in Getting to Know Jesus, lesson 43, and I don't have the page numbers in the book. What in the world is the matter with me? Okay.
34.
The Bible text is on what?
34 and 35.
Okay, the Bible text is on pages 34 and 35.
Commentaries on 36 to 40.
Or I'll move. I don't want it right here. I don't want to spill it.
36 to 40.
No problem.
41.
And the
Okay.
discussion questions are on page 42.
I'm going to go home.
And that's it.
Okay, here we are.
So we're somewhere around page 34.
And book 4. Lesson 3.
And we're going to talk about Jesus has finished the Sermon on the Mount. We put plenty of time going through that. And he returns to Capernaum. And tonight we're going to talk about how to have the faith to be healed. So, would you go to a doctor because your child was deathly sick at home and trust him to heal your child without seeing the child, to diagnose the illness or prescribe the appropriate medicine? Well, think about that a bit.
Yeah.
I mean, most of the time we think, oh dear, I got to take my child to the doctor. But in this case, we're going to have a situation where the child is left at home. Now, even if the doctor was willing to make house calls, which is rare these days, would you feel uncomfortable to trust him to heal your child without seeing him? Long distance? Oh, don't bother. I just go to the store, get that prescription, and your child will be fine.
A lot of people do it.
Get this prescription, take it yourself, and your child will be fine.
Wow.
Well, we are going to talk about how to have the faith. What does it mean to have faith? That's something we talk about. One of those religious words we like to use a lot. But have you ever really pondered what does it mean to have faith?
As a synonym, trust.
Trust, yeah, it's a synonym of trust.
Yeah, believe.
And we have faith in a lot of people and a lot of things that we would say we don't have faith in, but we do. And yet it's one of those words that a lot of times we talked about our faith in God, but it's like, yeah, I have faith in God, but what does that mean, I have faith in God? So we're not going to talk maybe quite directly about that, but what we're going to share tonight is going to relate to that. So what does it mean to have faith? First of all, we're going to talk about go to the source. Matthew chapter 8, verses 1 and 5, and Luke chapter 7, verses 1 and 2. When Jesus had finished saying all this in the hearing of the people, he went down from the mountainside, and the large crowds followed him. And when Jesus had entered Capernaum, there a centurion's servant, whom his master valued highly, was sick and about to die. There's one more. Oh, I still have the map of the Beatitudes in here, so we can look at that. How to have the faith to be healed. Well, the first thing you want to do is go to the source. If you believe that Jesus is a person that can meet your need, then first you must go to him. Why do you go to a doctor? Because you believe that that doctor has some knowledge and some skill and maybe some resources that can bring health to your body. Looks like you did okay with your eyes.
Well, we're still working on it.
We're still working on it. Some of us have got some other things that doctors are still working on, or we're still working on, but we go to him because we trust that he can bring healing to whatever that thing is. And if we
Believe. I'm a believer. You were saying believe. So
Yeah.
trust and believe are very much the
trust
same.
and believing and faith are so closely intertwined that you can't really have one without the other. They're all so closely connected. The commanding officer in our story went to Jesus in person. Now this said to his servant, what can you do? But we can't go to that, but we can go to Jesus in prayer. We can't go to him in person, but we can go to him in prayer. No man is an island unto himself. We depend on other people to help us accomplish anything in life that we seek to do. I can't get to know Jesus working by myself. I've got a webmaster that does stuff for the internet. I've gotten various people. Some have donated money. Some have donated things. Some people have donated labor. And there's still some people that are kind of working in the background. You won't see them. Hopefully I'll remember enough about who's doing what to give them thank you for whatever they're doing and recognition in one way or another. But any ministry, any action, just about anything you do in life, there is a degree where you're dependent on other people. Well, I'm a contractor, and I'm my own boss, and I run my own business. I don't depend on anybody. Oh yeah? What do you sell at your business? Oh, I sell this, this, and that, and that. Where do you get it?
Right.
Well, so-and-so brings it to me. Oh, so you do depend on other people.
Right on.
And who do you sell it to? Well, hopefully people will come into my store and buy it. Ah, then you're dependent on people to come to your store and buy it. So no matter what you're doing, all I do is sit at home and watch TV all day. I don't depend on anybody. Oh yeah? How do you get your TV signal? How do you get the electricity for that TV signal? By the way, who built your house?
There you go.
No matter, we're dependent on people for something.
Yeah.
We cannot do anything by ourselves. So we depend on other people to help us accomplish anything in life that we seek to do. I may write a great Bible study, but if others help me to tell the world about it, if others don't help me tell the world about it, or people don't buy it, it will not be of any value even to me. If it sits on my shelf at home, well, I can say I wrote a great Bible study, but what good is that? Only when it gets into the hands of other people who say, wow, this is great, I will use it. So faith always requires some kind of action on the part of the one having faith. There are some people that will tell you, oh, no, that's works, and we're not saved by works, we're saved by faith. Well, we are saved by faith, not by works. But if your faith is not accompanied by works, we're going to raise question whether you actually have faith or not. If you have faith, your actions are going to show it. I have faith that Jesus died on the cross for my sins. By action,
Right.
I'm going to stop my sinning because
Right.
I have faith that Jesus paid for my sin and I'm free from sin and I don't have to do that behavior anymore. That is faith in action. So, if you believe God is leading you in a certain direction, then you should move in that direction as evidence of your faith in God's leading. This is why I wrote the Getting to Know Jesus Bible Study. I believed, and I still do, that God would call me to write this Bible study and to teach it to as many people as I possibly can. So that's putting my faith into action. Sometimes situations require a lot of action and time before the proof of their faith comes through. But without the action, the results will not happen. Example, my brother-in-law was a farmer in Kansas for many, many years. He would plant the wheat seeds in the early spring or late winter, and somewhere around July, they would have wheat harvest. And I mean, when they had wheat harvest in Kansas, it was sun up to sundown, combines in the field, trucks hauling grain to the elevator and scooting back to the field to get more wheat until that field was clean. And then they went to the next field. And they would start with the fields that they thought would be ready first, and they would go to the ones that would be ready later. But you only have a certain time window to get that wheat into the granary, and it still be good.
Yep.
If you get it too green, then they won't take it, and you just lose that money.
Hay
If
is
you
like
get it
that.
too ripe, then it loses value on the other end. So you've got to put some action into your faith. But how long does it take you to get that? What do you do between the time you planted that seed? Actually, you had to till the ground to get the ground ready for planting before you could plant it. So you started working on it back during the winter, and then you plant the seed, and then you try to keep the weeds down, and you wait.
Pray for rain.
You pray for rain, throw some fertilizer on it, and you wait. And you wait. And a couple of months, 2-3 months later, you get the harvest. Now, when do you get paid? When you till the
Yeah.
soil?
No.
You
No.
get the harvest.
When you plant the seed?
No.
No. When you fertilize it?
No.
When the rains come?
No.
When do you get your pay?
When you sell it.
Get
When you harvest it and sell it.
the harvest.
In China, a bamboo tree takes 5 years to grow. You plant a bamboo seed in the ground, and you water it and fertilize it, and 1 year goes by and nothing happens. and you water it and fertilize it, and another year goes by and nothing happens. And you water and fertilize it, and another year goes by and nothing happens. And you water it and you fertilize it, and another year goes by and nothing happens. 4 years. But something in the 5th year, that bamboo will pop and it'll grow 20 feet tall in 1 year.
Did I hear you exactly? You know, how far up the ground does it get about in the 4th year? The way your last was
It's
it?
still, you don't see a thing.
Oh, for that many
It
years?
has 4 years.
Don't even break
you don't
ground
see a
until after
thing.
the 4th year. Huh?
But if you don't water it and fertilize it, it don't grow.
Amazing.
Zig Ziglar used to use that as an illustration.
Where do you think I got that from?
That's where he got it. No, I heard it.
Sometimes you have to put a lot of lead time in to reap the harvest. A real estate investor buys land, goes subdivides the land, gets all the permits and all this stuff in the city for this and this and this and this and this. Finally, he starts to build. And he starts to build, he starts to build. And he's building this house, this house, this house. When does he get his money? Not until the houses are completed, and then only if he can find a buyer. And if he doesn't find a buyer, well, there's a subdivision where we used to live that's got a couple of dozen houses on it and a lot of vacant lots waiting for the housing crisis to get over. So some situations can happen pretty immediate, but some situations require a lot of action and time before the proof of their faith comes through. But without the action, the results don't happen.
Can I add something? Action and potential in everything and everybody must be part of the anchor too.
There's potential in every one of us.
And every seed too.
There's potential in every seed. So yes, you must go to the source of your faith in order to materialize it into something that is real and will benefit the world. So what is it that you have faith in? You obviously have faith in Jesus Christ, or you wouldn't be here trying to learn more about Him and challenge your faith to see how you can be more like Christ. Well, there's another thing you need to do besides go to the source, and that is to submit your request. Matthew chapter 6, verses 6 and 7. Luke chapter 7, verse 3 through the first part of verse 6. Now the centurion heard that Jesus had heard of Jesus and sent some elders of the Jews to him, asking him to come and heal his servant. When they came to Jesus, they pleaded earnestly with him, saying, "My servant lies at home paralyzed in terrible suffering. This man deserves to have you do this because he loves our nation and has built our synagogue." Jesus said to him, "I will go and heal him." Or Luke said, Jesus went with him. So you submit your request. Nothing will happen until you ask. A friend of mine often will say, if you don't ask, you don't get. So we learned that, and I'm finding out a lot of times you ask, you still don't get, but you're definitely not going to get if you don't ask because people won't know. So our prayer time is valuable to us, if no other reason, than to ask for a healing and help for those people and those situations that are on our hearts for prayer requests. According to Luke, the centurion recruits the help of the local Jewish leaders to petition Jesus for help. He doesn't go to Jesus himself. The local Jewish leaders in the community kind of go to Jesus in his behalf. Realizing that he isn't a Jew, he likely thinks that the local Jews will have a better response from Jesus than he could expect. Whether he addressed Jesus directly or through the aid of others, he did believe that Jesus could solve his problem. He believed that Jesus could do something about a situation. Now, Jesus wants to meet your deepest needs. He cares about you. Car stuck at home, brakes don't work, Jesus does care.
Can I ask, this centurion, he didn't know Jesus for very long, did he, when he had this automatic golden belief, right?
We are somewhere in the early part of the 2nd year of Jesus' ministry. So Jesus has been around a year.
Okay.
He's actually been around Galilee maybe 6 months or so, give or take a couple of months. Of course, if the centurion would be a Roman citizen, not a Jew.
Sure. Yeah.
So he wouldn't be going down to Jerusalem for the feast, so he wouldn't know about that stuff, except for he hears the people.
Yeah.
What? When you go and you see something spectacular that happened, what do you have a tendency to do?
Wow.
Tell him.
You talk about it.
I think probably he also saw something before that
Well,
too. I mean, it goes without saying, I think he did.
Jesus has been in Capernaum. Jesus has been around Galilee. People have gone and heard Jesus here and traveling from thither to thither. What do? You should hear about this guy. He did this miracle. He took this person. He did this. And he took these people. And he did that. And he teaches. Oh, you should hear that. I've never heard anybody teach like this man teaches. Maybe the centurion happened to be somewhere in the vicinity when the Sermon on the Mount was going on just prior to this, what we're talking about tonight. We don't know.
Isn't that what you're saying? You thought he
He might
witnessed
have seen
something?
it. Yeah.
But
Because that's tremendous if
obviously,
he could have that kind of faith right off the bat. Wow.
obviously this centurion had knowledge of Jesus' ability to heal. So,
Well, I'm sure every person that actually got healed, the word would spread from them out that it was happening, you know?
the word would spread. Hey,
Oh, yeah.
you go to a faith, somebody that heals just by simply saying, be healed.
Yeah.
Not necessarily a big bunch of things. Of course, if you went to a doctor and he healed you of your knee or your eye or a heart or problem or whatever, you'd be quick to tell other people, hey, boy, when this happened to me, I went to so-and-so, they fixed me right up. We have a tendency to talk about things like that. You know, God will sometimes allow us to go through a crisis simply to help us see that we can depend on Him to bring us through it. My oldest sister is going through a crisis right now, and we'll talk about that later. But you know what? Well, here, the crisis in Colorado
Yeah,
this
Lord.
past week. Yes, a lot of people died. A lot of people were wounded. A lot of people will suffer some sort of emotional trauma until they decide or find a way to get over it. And some may not. But it only causes us to realize that our ultimate hope is in God and our relationship with Him, because this world can't secure you anything, except for you're going to die. And we already know about that.
Expect everything to happen, hope nothing will.
What, Garney?
Expect everything to happen, but hope nothing will.
Expect everything to happen, but hope nothing will. Many times we do not receive simply because we do not believe enough to ask and then act in confidence of that faith.
Yeah.
I believe that this can happen. But if I don't do my part, it's not going to happen, because there is a certain degree where faith has to be accompanied by works if it's going to accomplish anything good at all for the kingdom of God, or for whatever it is you have faith in. I believe my car will start and take me home. But if I don't get the car, go put the key in the ignition and turn it, I'll never know whether it'll start or not. We don't know until we try. Now, this can be a hard line to draw, because sometimes we may ask wrongly for something or believe something that is ultimately not in our best interest. Sometimes we want selfishly.
Oh, wow, yeah, that's it.
I want it my way. I don't care about the other person. I don't care about their feelings. I don't care about what's right. I just want it my way. Oh, I could spend a long time with that, but we'll go on.
You kind of took that right out of every one of our souls, because I think we all battle with that. The way I understand more and more is we're supposed to pray for out there, people, friends out there. Isn't that it?
We would
But
do
to
ourselves.
get to that point,
You're
oh,
safe. You're safe on the prayer line if you pray for others, and not yourself so much.
safer.
We do need to be very conscious at praying for others. And we need to be very self-conscious about I. Selfishness causes so many problems. And I don't have time to go into that here, except that it causes me to constantly examine why I'm doing what I'm doing. Sylvia was talking about, Gary Chapman was talking about the love languages, and how guys, as a general rule, tend to be, maybe a little more so guys than gals, but sometimes gals too, tend to be so selfish and not realize that they're not meeting their spouse's needs. So us married guys, we got some things that we need to just constantly be examining here. With my job, with my wife, with my relationship with you. Is this all about me, or is this about Jesus Christ and about helping you become more like Christ? Why are we doing the things we do? We're going to be constantly asking if we're sincerely seeking a relationship with God. So, whether we're asking somebody for healing, or somebody for God for direction, or somebody for help, it causes us to ask in faith. Who do we ask? We ask somebody that we have the faith that this person has the knowledge and the ability to solve that problem we have. George has got a problem with his car right now. He needs to get his car over. He's trying to ask people to help him get his car over to the mechanic so he can get it fixed. And he has faith that that mechanic can fix his car if he can just get it over there. We might have to find a mechanic that can come out to George since his car is not drivable. He doesn't have the money for a tow truck, and he has not been successful finding somebody to get it there. I know in California I knew of a mechanic that would come to you. I think I've seen one here in Lakeland, but
There's
I
a
can't
couple
remember
of them, but
offhand.
they're costly.
Yeah. Or
They can, but that still might be cheaper than a tow truck. But anyhow, you figure out a possible person or means to a solution, and you apply faith in consulting or asking that person to deal with that situation that you need help with. Now, there's one more thing after you submit your request, and that is be humble. When Jesus, Matthew 8 verses 8 and 9, Luke 7 verses, the second part of verse 6 to verse 8,
How do you
Jesus was not far from the house when the centurion sent friends to say to him, Lord, don't trouble yourself. I do not deserve to have you come under my roof. This is why I did not even consider myself worthy to come to you. Just say the word, and my servant will be healed. For I am myself am a man under authority. And when soldiers come to me, I tell this one, go, and he goes, and that one come, and he comes. And I say this to my servant, do this, and he does it.
Interesting line of reasoning there.
Right.
Interesting line of reasoning.
Yeah.
It's going to get back to one of our favorite little buzzwords here in just a second. The man who came to Jesus was a person of authority. He was used to commanding 100 soldiers. The centurion was a commander of 100. He had 100 fighting men underneath him. He could command them to do anything, even in the face of death, certain death. If he told those 100 men to go against an army of 10,000, they would say, yes, sir.
Glory.
And they would do everything they could until they were killed.
Wow.
That was the kind of obedience.
We call them Marines.
That must have been.
We call them Marines today, our Army Special Forces,
With the Issachar guy.
any soldier
okay.
for that
Sorry
matter.
about that.
He could command them to do anything, even face death. They would do it. He could have easily considered himself an important person. Hey, I am a Roman and I have authority. I'm a military commander here in this town, and if I commanded, I could have my soldiers kill everybody in this town. I could have my soldiers go to Jesus and drag him down here forcibly and make him do what I want him to do.
He also can have his soldiers killed for not obeying him.
I can have my soldiers killed if they don't obey me. You're going to disobey a commander like that? No. Can I kick you in the ribs? And how come you disobey God? You know that He's commanded you to do something. Oh, I got to look at myself in that same light, because He can kill you a lot deader than any centurion can. We'll cover that sometime again in the future. He could have commanded Jesus, a common Jew, to humbly follow and obey. People in power sometimes forget how to truly be humble. And I've seen examples of it in Christian leaders.
How do you?
I've seen it in government leaders. Not everybody's like that, but sometimes I've seen examples of, we kind of question whether some of the people we've been dealing with and trying to get our church established and church building finished have been maybe flaunting some of their power and not respecting our rights and so forth. We don't know. We can't really prove that, but we've wondered sometimes. Sometimes people forget to be humble. And we need to work on that. I need to work on my humility.
I don't even know what humbleness is.
You don't know what humbleness is. Don't you worry. God's
I'm
going
not
to
a
teach
humble
you.
person.
Humility.
Well, claim your
Humble.
victory because you got humbleness in you.
Humble.
Nobody's got it figured out though.
Never
No,
seen it.
there's no word as humbleness.
Sacrificial is a lot of humbleness.
Humility.
Sacrificing, giving,
And what your
restraint.
personality gives in situations.
Restraint of power requires humility. Because if I were not humble, I just use that power to force my way through and get what I want no matter what happens.
Isn't that will?
But Huh?
Isn't that will more than anything else? You
That could be
yourself?
will, it could be selfishness, it could be pride, it could be something that starts with S and ends with N and has a big I in the middle of it, Jeff.
We're talking about the man was a person of authority.
Yes.
Jesus was the master teacher, the man with all the authority of God because he was God. Okay, and
Yeah.
I can give you a whole foundation on this, but when Jesus said to the men, the fishermen, follow me, and they dropped their nets and followed him straightway and followed Jesus, John chapter 8, the woman caught in the act, right? Jesus said, you without sin cast the first stone. That's what he had the authority.
What are you saying?
Well,
Forget it.
let's
I'm gonna go home.
hang on just a second.
I was trying to point something out.
Well, I think I know where you're going, but
Yeah, the authority. Yeah, I was trying to point that
Jesus.
out.
But see, Jesus. Nobody recognizes Jesus' authority yet.
Right, right.
This is his year of popularity, and a lot of people are coming to recognize him. They're coming to understand him. But the people aren't, Jeff. These people in this lesson here haven't gotten to John chapter 8 yet.
Well, no, it's,
That incident hasn't happened
it's
yet.
the
That's
authority.
coming.
It's the authority.
It's the authority. See,
That's what I
now,
was trying to.
the centurion did not know Jesus' authority,
That's it.
but Jesus knew his authority.
That's it.
And Jesus knew he outranked the centurion. But it's not an issue here.
But this is talking about the man with authority, not Jesus and his authority.
Yeah, at this moment we're talking about the centurion's authority.
Well, I thought you were
And-
talking about humbleness.
Do what?
I thought you were talking about humility.
Well, it is humility. See, the centurion had the authority, but he subjected his authority and requested for Jesus to come.
All right.
Jesus, in this context, subjected his authority and humbled himself to come.
So you're saying authority has the idea of submitting oneself.
Yeah.
Servant.
Okay.
There's that degree of servanthood, that relationship between the two. So when the centurion realizes that Jesus is coming to his house, he excuses Jesus from violating the Jewish custom by coming home to the home of a Gentile. He knows that Jesus coming to a Gentile's home would violate his Jewish. So he said, oh no, you don't have to violate your Jewish custom. Instead, he states that if Jesus will speak it, he believes that it will be done. He trusts Jesus' authority and power so much that he doesn't need to have Jesus actually come to his home, but merely speak the word and it'll be done.
Glory.
Just speak the word and it'll be done.
Extravagant love. We don't always know it.
That's a love and that's a humility that humbles us. Now we were really kind of talking about the centurion's humility, but we see even Jesus' humility is being reflected here, and it causes me now to examine my humility. Am I being humble, or am I not being humble? Well, the next thing then is to trust Jesus to do what he can do. Matthew chapter 8 verses 10 to 13, Luke chapter 7 verses 9 and 10. When Jesus heard this, he was amazed, he was astonished, and said to those, and turning to the crowd, he followed him and said, I tell you the truth, I have not found anyone in Israel with such great faith. I say to you that many will come from the east and the west and will take their places with the feast with Abraham and Isaac and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven. Wow. That's pretty powerful.
Yeah.
But the subjects of the kingdom will be thrown outside into the darkness, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. And Jesus said to the centurion, go, it will be done just as you had believed it would. Then the men who had been sent returned to the house, and his servant was healed that very hour. He found the servant well. There's a picture of Capernaum, the ruins somewhere in Capernaum. And again, I can't tell you exactly what we're looking at here. Just one of these days I'll be able to give you maybe a little better direction on that. But trust Jesus to do what he can do. If Jesus says it, even E.F. Hutton better listen. You remember the commercials about 10, 15, 20 years ago now it was.
Yeah.
When E.F. Hutton speaks, everybody listens.
Right.
I dare say there's probably a lot of people that don't even know those commercials existed.
Apparently, Jeff, maybe what did he take off or what?
We'll talk about that later. He is not bound. Jesus is not bound by just one method of controlling an illness, disease, or handicap. And I don't want to say this attacking people who do faith healing today, but simply an observation. And I don't really mean it as a criticism, although it may sound like such. But I notice a lot of times they seem to think they have to do it this way in order to do it. And maybe it works. I cannot question whether they are able to heal people. Only God knows that for sure. But it just seems to me that the way a lot of them do it, compared to how Jesus did it, it's totally different. And Jesus would heal this person in one way. He'll heal that same another person of the same malady another way.
Yeah.
And you'll see him heal another person with the same illness another way. Jesus is not limited to one method of reaching out and touching people, reaching out and bringing healing. Jesus commends the servant, centurion, for his faith as a witness to other Jews around. A foreigner who would be considered a Jew hater was more faithful in a Jewish belief than a Jew. He was more faithful in being Jew than those who should know Jesus the best. This centurion, this foreigner, this Roman citizen, is acting more like a follower of Jesus than the Jews who've been studying the Old Testament for centuries, handed down from their forefathers. He also submits to the centurion's respect for him and his position, and he declares the servant healed. You trust me that much, you don't even need me to come to your house. Okay, the servant's healed. And Jesus didn't have to go and verify it. The other Jews and the centurion would verify it. Jesus knows it was going to be done.
That's a paradox. Am I hearing it right?
Not really.
Something
No, we
It's
would
a
kind
fact.
of think that we would need
I'd
to go
say
verify, but if I said, well, so-and-so's got a problem and God's going to heal them right now, I would almost want to call them up or go over to their place and say, hey, did God heal you at 7, what is it, 18 or in the evening on Wednesday night?
7:38.
And they'll say yes or no. And I'd want verification just to prove that it really happened. But Jesus didn't need to do that. He knew. You know, we may sometimes make well-intentioned promises to others and fail by intent or neglect to keep them. But God never fails.
You know, there's one situation that happened in the ministry of Jesus that, as far as I'm concerned, as far as healings, it trumps all the others. You remember when was it Peter that cut the ear off of one of the Roman soldiers?
Uh-huh.
Jesus put it back on.
Yeah.
No other miracle other than him raising from the dead is like that one.
That was a unique situation.
was.
Because, yeah, we don't see Jesus restoring any... he restored withered hands, which could be considered somewhat similar.
Yeah,
Short life.
But still, the miracles that Jesus did were so unique.
yes.
There were a few of them that other people could do something similar, maybe duplicate, but there were a lot of miracles that Jesus did that were beyond the mind and comprehension or even ability of anyone else. Take a man who's been dead for 3 days and raise him back to life.
Exactly.
Or a funeral procession carrying a widow's son out of town and say, hey, get off out there, you're alive. Or the guy whose daughter died. We'll be talking about that. All those there in the future. Well, God never fails. If Jesus says it, it will be done. He could not do any less. That's like we talked when he changed the water into wine. What kind of wine did he make? Oh, just some cheap stuff you get down at the cheap store just to get by to finish up the wedding feast. No. Jesus couldn't make any best for the less than the best. When God sent his son to die for our sins, did he send a servant? No, he sent his best, his only son. God could not do any less than his best. And we have to trust in our life, whatever's going on, whatever it is we're going through, that God is doing and giving us his best. If Jesus says it, it will be done. And if you believe in him, you will have eternal life. Any questions? So our conclusion is this: growing your faith will occur one day at a time over the rest of your life. It will not be complete until He rescues you from this earth. When He rescues you from this earth, then it'll be complete. The more you learn about Him, the more you will grow to love Him and to trust Him. And in that way, your faith will grow far beyond your current level of understanding. No matter how mature you are in your faith, it's still a growing process. I understand that the lizards never stop growing from the day they're born to the day they die. And with the age of Earth being thousands of years, or Adam living hundreds of years, if lizards lived as long in proportion as Adam and Methuselah, 969 years, well, no wonder we had dinosaurs. They evidently did not survive the flood, but that's a whole different subject. But the more we learn about Jesus, the more we grow. And we will always be growing until we get to heaven. Now, next week, Jesus will raise a dead person back to life. Oh, what were you talking about just a minute ago? Wow, I didn't think anyone could do anything like that. Oh, by the way, also, John the Baptist will send some of his followers to inquire of Jesus, so we'll talk about that too. So we invite you to join us. Right now it's time to break to page 42, and we'll do our discussion questions. You can follow us and stay in touch with what is happening with the Getting to Know Jesus Bible Study Ministry on Plaxo, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and watch our video clips on YouTube and GodTube. Getting to Know Jesus is sponsored by New Hope Gospel Ministries. If you'd like to follow along with us and start your Getting to Know Jesus Bible Study group, or just pray for us or support our ministry, you can go to www.gettingtoknowjesus.org and find all the information that we have available for you. If you look at the lower right-hand corner, there's a button where you can make a safe and secure donation to the Getting to Know Jesus Bible Study Ministry. Or you can go to the order page and order your Getting to Know Jesus books for your Bible study group. Thank you for stopping by, and keep us in your prayers and let us know how we can pray for you.